Hello and welcome to episode 76.
So much energy.
So much energy so far.
I'm done. That's it. I'm spent. Can somebody carry on? Welcome to episode 76. It is the last episode of the year. It is the last episode of the decade.
That's a weird sentence. It sounds so final.
Some might say it's the final countdown. Where's a kazoo when we need one?
That's not a sentence I've ever said in my life.
Do we ever need a kazoo?
No, nobody ever needs a kazoo.
Have you never said that sentence because you always have a kazoo about your person?
Obviously. It's like you don't even know me, man.
No, I do know you. That's the problem.
I love the idea that was played in a kazoo, though, in the original recording.
If my Christmas present isn't a kazoo at this point, I'm going to be so disappointed.
If I can find one on Amazon Prime, then fine. But we are past the point of latest delivery dates for Christmas now.
Please get a bulk order of several kazoos so we can...
I thought you said bulk order.
Bulk order. Many Kazoos.
Oh, there's such a north-south divide at the moment.
My God.
A bulk order? What's this?
I don't know. Maybe it's in the same ballpark as Piss Brosnan. Who knows?
Queef Chegwin.
That's a new one. That's one I haven't heard.
So yes, last of the year, last of the decade.
We're not even drunk.
Last of the Mohicans. We're not drunk yet. I feel like this is cause to celebrate. We have had an awesome year.
We have had the best fucking year of the podcast.
Yes.
Of any iteration of the podcast in all 9 years.
We haven't missed an episode.
I thought we were gonna.
There was some close calls.
There was a lot of illness last week that waylaid us.
Oh yes.
But we did it.
We've done it.
We knocked it out.
We did it, boys.
Yeah. Imagine if that was on a kazoo. It'd be so much better.
Says the girl who always has a kazoo about her person.
I don't. That's why you're going to rectify it with my Christmas present.
Oh, we're going to have to get you a kazoo now.
Yeah.
Fuck. So can you get, like, obviously you can get cheap plastic crappy kazoos.
Yeah.
Can you get, like...
high-end kazoos?
Yeah.
Probably.
Artisan kazoos.
I mean, it's the same as, like, harmonicas, right? You can get really shit plastic ones, but, like, Chef Kiss Pierce Resistance harmonicas.
C'est magnifique. Which is what a harmonica sounds like.
A donkey dying.
Arguably.
No, that's what the cheap plastic ones sound like. The very expensive high-end harmonicas sound like heaven in your ears.
I think it's because my only knowledge of harmonicas is getting a cheap plastic one in a Christmas cracker and running around the house with it in my mouth, breathing heavily.
That sounds exactly like something you would do. And I imagine you mean as a child, but also recently.
It's not outside of the realms of possibility, I'll be honest. Any musical instrument. That's how I play it? No, that's not. I bought you a guitar.
In the mouth.
Always. She just puts everything in her mouth. No. Fuck.
I was about to say, and it was going so well, but scratch that.
Disclaimer, I do not put everything in my mouth.
Just curated items.
Artisan.
You've got like an approved list.
Craft.
It's on the list.
You know, like
in
how if you work in an office, all of the electrical equipment has those little stickers on to say when they've last been
tested.
Yeah.
The T is for tested.
Okay.
All right, ATM
Whether
machine.
speaking
tested.
Pa tested.
Patted.
Potested.
Potested. That is not what I said.
Potestes?
Do you have any potatoes?
I do at home. Do you know what? They were 29p.
For how many?
Like a big
If
old
it's like
bag.
for two, not a good deal. You've been screwed.
Like a big old bag of potatoes.
You're gonna put them in your mouth.
No, I'm gonna roast them all on Christmas Day.
And
all
then
of
put them in your mouth.
Yes, I will also put some in your mouth.
Ooh. Promises.
That does not mean that you can recline on the sofa whilst I peel you a potato.
Keeping this apart.
I trust the orgy pit has been scraped and buttered.
I regret nothing. That's how my day's gonna play out.
It's fucking not. Yeah, like just flicking Earth Noose flippies into your mouth.
Hell yeah.
You know I bought them.
Earth Knot flips.
They are peanuts. They are peanut. What's it?
Peanut flips.
Peanut flips.
Peanut what's it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the weirdest. I mean, essentially, it's literally a what's it that tastes of peanuts.
Yeah.
But somehow, my brain couldn't compute that. The first time I tried one, I was just like, "What is this sensation that's happening in my mouth?"
Glitched out. It was a
Like two things that should never meet, but they did, and it's phenomenal.
yeah, so good. And they have that like mouth claggy thing as well.
Yeah,
Nom, nom,
but
nom,
not
nom,
the
nom,
bad
nom.
kind.
Not the stick to the roof of your mouth way,
Yeah,
just the kind of
like the flaming hot Cheetos, kind of like cloying.
Yeah, I love it. I'm all about it. Now that we
Moving on
are
from
done
snack review.
talking about snack review 2019. I'm basically the Mark Commode of crisps.
Please put that on your Instagram.
The Mark
I want
Commode
to make you a
of crisps.
badge that says
To go with my chifty badge. So many in-jokes. Anyway, I would like to take a quick moment to link you forward to our social media, as we do every fortnight. You can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Every single handle is Radio Gorepress. Did I just say hand oil?
Hand oil.
It sounded a lot like you said hand oil.
Hand oil. Fuck's
We knew
sakes.
what you meant.
Yes. You can talk to us on any of those platforms. We would love to hear from you.
Please do. We're lonely.
Especially if you have any ideas for new shows for 2020. We would absolutely love to hear your ideas.
Do you know what? Kicking off the new year with a listener recommendation would be primo.
Mwah!
Yeah.
Fucking mint.
So hit us up, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. If you love us and you love what we do and you want to give a little bit back, you are more than welcome to head over to our Patreon, where you can pledge from as little as $1 a month and gain access to our Discord server, where we have a little family who chat every day, check in on each other. It's really lovely.
It's heaps wholesome.
Yeah, so cute. So cute.
I love it.
If you decide that you want to pledge a little bit more and go for the $5 a month option, then you get access to all of our exclusive mini-sodes, which you can't get anywhere else.
Yep.
You can also donate on Ko-fi. I'm never going to be able to say that right.
I feel
Every
like
episode,
literally every time we talk about this, you'd think one of us would have just been started like confidently fucking guessing, but we're still like sounding it out like morons every single time.
I'm
for
gonna-
like 6 months now. Coffee.
I'm going to call it Kafefe.
Okay. I don't think we'll get any tips from that.
You can give us one-time tips.
There'll be a link
from
in
as
the
little-
bio.
Yeah, there is a link
How's
in our
about
bio.
that?
You can tip us from as little as £3, which is effectively buying us a coffee. It's a one-time thing, and it all goes towards our hosting costs, which we have almost covered for next year.
Yeah.
So close. So this is
Self-sustaining podcast.
this is the spirit of giving and Christmas.
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 I just wanted to say it a bit differently.
I like that.
Do you have a different way of saying Christmas?
No, I like Sarah's.
Christmas.
Christmas. Oh no, that's made me think of Feliz Navidad again.
Or,
Philippe's not your dad.
yeah.
Sorry, Phil.
Just alright.
Don't sing
I mean, you're
it-
not my dad.
I mean, yeah. I
Don't sing it
expect
to
most
Phil's
people aren't.
actual child. Preferably.
Really, there's only one person in the whole world that
just
is.
one person that like you can't sing that to. That would be very mean. So, we are changing things up a bit for this episode. We haven't covered any specific film because it is
Gasps.
such an auspicious occasion, the last show of the decade, we thought we would give our own top 5s horror films from the entire decade. That
and it's
is
been
going from
goddamn difficult, if I
so
do
difficult.
say so myself.
Yeah, it has been. And that's even coming from me, the person who hasn't seen any films, which is probably why it was quite difficult. Because I just haven't seen anything.
I don't know, I feel like it was more difficult because we had a larger pool to
Do you know
choose
what?
from.
I feel like I didn't see as many films, but the films that I did see were class.
That's
There was some
true.
absolute dross in there, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was like primo.
Yeah.
So I'm
Drainiacs
just
make
very...
the top 5?
I don't think that was in the last decade. I think that was like 2006.
Nuts! It looks like 1986.
Which upsets me that that isn't in the last decade. 2006.
Would it have made your list?
I would have thought that. It would have got an honourable mention.
Hell yeah.
So, how are we going to do this? Who should we start with? Sarah?
I think we should do a round table because we have a crossover.
We do have a crossover.
So if we sort of do one at a time,
1-1-1.
and then if we start maybe with the one that we both have and knock that out straight away, and then they're all unique picks after that.
I think this is a damn good idea. I think we should do that.
I had a... Oh.
So,
Pat me on the head. I very rarely have good ideas. I want to relish in it.
But I love patting you on the head.
I quite liked it.
Oh, I'll do it again.
I'm just offering my head like a cat.
You are. It's adorable. I'm not mad about it.
I might be a bit mad.
So, Sarah.
Yes,
Oh,
Rosie.
that was very accusatory. I'm so sorry.
It was very official.
Sarah.
That is how you pronounce my name.
Sarah. Your crossover with mine was?
Hereditary.
Yes, 2018.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to lay this out there. I feel like 2018, according to my top 5 anyway, was a fucking great year for horror films.
It was not... I think... Do you know what? It's been a really strong decade.
It has been a really strong decade.
I think that's why I struggled so much, because my list started off at about 16 titles. I'm sure there are some I've forgotten about.
Do you think it's because horror as a genre is falling more into the mainstream than it has done before?
100% yes.
So it's just getting more money ploughed into it and more hype?
More hype, maybe. I don't think the money has anything to do with the quality as such.
Okay.
Because some of my favourite films are micro-budget,
That's fair.
tiny studio nothings.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I think there's a lot more trash. There's as much more crap as there is quality. There's just a lot more horror in general.
Yes.
Because obviously we touched on it earlier in the year. I think this year has been the first year that I've really noticed that the horror films haven't been seasonal. Like, normally it ramps up around Halloween and the spooky season, and you expect to see a lot of bigger films at the box office around the darker months of the year.
But
and
you've noticed that it's been
but
like
they're
quite
peppered
straight across the
throughout.
board.
And especially with stuff like another one that's on your top 5 that I'm not going to spoil, which I believe got a simultaneous cinema release as it did the same. Like, I might be wrong, but it was the streaming platform was the studio that also produced it or worked in tandem with.
Oh, okay. What? So it was released at the cinema at the same time it went onto a streaming platform?
I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
That's an interesting way of doing
but
things.
the streaming platform was also a co-producer, I believe.
Anyway, we'll
So
go on to that.
but things are changing drastically in the past few years.
I'm here for it.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting. There's a load of a good one this past week was Michael Bay's latest film, Six Underground. Six Underground. Ludicrous film. Michael Bay has Bayist.
Many explosions.
But it's like Ryan Reynolds. There's some big names in it. And it's Michael Bay, and it went straight to Netflix with very little fanfare. It's crazy. And it's been getting... Everybody is really enthusiastic about it. They've all said it's stupid, it's mental, but it's super fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not that they didn't have any faith in it, it's just that things are happening so much more differently.
Things are going straight to DVD, if you like, is not necessarily a bad thing anymore.
Yeah, that used to be like straight to DVD, straight to video
It was like a flop, a massive flop.
Yeah. I find it really interesting how vastly and how rapidly things have changed in the past few years. I'm all for it. I'm interested to see how it continues to evolve.
It's kind of like the media equivalent of the like technological spurt that we went through during like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Where we kind of like everything progressed so quickly from like the first computer to PC in every household kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're having that kind of resurgence, but with like visual and audio media as well.
Yeah. I mean, it stands to reason because the way we consume media has changed so much, so the companies are just...
And the outside world is awful. So why wouldn't you want to stay indoors?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Hereditary.
Speaking of the outside world being awful. I mean, we covered this. We did a solid show on it, so I don't think we need to go into too much detail. If you haven't listened to that show, would highly recommend going back and doing so. I think we got some really good chat out of it.
I think I've realised that I really like bleakness in films.
Same. I don't know why. I find it cathartic.
I find it like oddly comforting.
Yeah, stuff that like really bums out other people. I'm just like, oh, my life's not so bad.
Oh, it's okay.
By comparison.
One way to look at it, I guess.
Well, like, at least I'm not soaring through my own head with a piano wire. Yeah. I mean, and there were some bits in Hereditary that are genuinely really unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the closest that I think I have come to being freaked out or, like, scared, in inverted commas, I'm reticent to use that because it makes it sound more anxiety-driven. But just, like...
I wouldn't say it scared me, but it freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, for sure.
It, like, squicked me out.
Yeah.
A whole time.
Like, unnerving, unsettling...
But it wasn't without a couple jump scares as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a really good
and it changed the fucking way that horror trailers are cut now. Have you noticed? Everything is about clicking now.
Rhythms.
In every horror trailer since Hereditary, it's all about clicking. I've noticed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We touched on that on the Grudge trailer last week, didn't we?
And also, just the trailer in itself taking you down a
Genius
completely different path.
Love it.
That's how you cut a trailer.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Because I was round 2 when I watched Hereditary, wasn't I? And, like, audible gasping
I was,
occurred.
like, gutted, because the first time I watched it was on my own. And it was one of those...
And you had no one to, like, grab.
I was like, there's no one here! Oh my God! Who can share my shock?
Imagine being the first person to watch that film. Just being like, have you seen it yet? Have you seen it yet?
Jeez, yeah. So I feel like I said this at the time when we did the dedicated show on it, but that to me is the closest film I can think of when I think of modern classic. I think people are going to regard that in the same way that we regard films like The Shining.
Yeah, that is definitely...
a couple of decades' time.
Because it did something really different and it really concisely and cleverly did it as well.
And it's layered as well.
Yeah, massively. It's massively nuanced. Cool. That was mine and Sarah's first pick.
That was the only overlap.
The only overlap between all three of us, which is pretty amazing, really. Phil, what you got?
I am going to put forward The Conjuring.
Okay.
Interesting choice.
So, not in... I don't know if we said we're not in doing this in any particular order. But yeah, like, I have always really enjoyed James Wan's approach to horror.
Okay.
He's very much of the old school, like, spooky goings on at night. Yeah, I know there's jump scares. But
do you know what? Completely side note, as soon as you said, like, old school, I would fucking love to see him sort of do a take on all of the Universal monsters.
Oh, yeah. No, that would be
He
neat.
would be, like... Wait, isn't he doing The Invisible Man?
The Invisible Man, yeah. Or was that Lee Winnell? Or am I making that up?
Oh, fuck.
Because
it might be Lee Winnell.
They're all...
They work together quite a bit, don't they? Yeah. I don't know now, but yeah, Christ,
Well, you're talking, don't you look out?
I would love James Wan take on all of the Universal. Like I've said for a long time, don't really care much to see remakes of them, but if they're gonna do them,
Yeah, well, I think like
It's directed by Lee Winnell.
okay.
there we go. Like, given that it's not like The Grudge, which is like 10 years between the original remake. Like,
Yeah,
I know they've had their kind of updates, but there's not really been a big kind of remake of. I mean, I guess there was an attempt to. Universal launched their
oh
Dark
god, they did
Dark
the Mummy.
Universe and the Wolfman, I think, around the same time,
Yeah,
if memory serves. But that,
well, there was a couple. There was a Wolfman that was sort of in the mid 2000s as well.
yeah.
I was going to say, how did I miss that? No, I'm not surprised. It doesn't shock me. That
It
I
was
missed
around the
that.
time Universal at the time were taking a lot of risks about the movies they made.
Didn't all pay off.
And it was around the time, it was around the time that they were,
hemorrhaging money.
and all of a sudden they were like, no, this isn't working, and then they just like, I think that was the time that they canned Del Toro's Mountain of Madness.
Yeah,
Because they were like,
we've talked about this before.
we've risked too much, we can't do this
Yeah.
anymore. So they axed that and then played it safe from there on, because it was around Scott Pilgrim was another one they kind of
Right.
gambled on.
But I feel like that would have really paid off.
Yeah.
Del Toro, of all people.
I kind of hope like that will be reignited
Yeah.
from the ashes.
But it's he would have done it well, but would people have known? Would enough people know about that source material? I mean, I know we've got Color
you
Out
can
of Space.
hype that though.
I know we've got Color Out of Space coming out soon, but I don't know.
I don't think you need to know.
From the best guy ever.
Maybe that could be our first show of
Oh,
2020.
what? Bit
Island
of
of Dr. Moreau.
Richard Stanley.
Well, not his.
Well, not, but
Should have been.
his original vision, I guess. Like, it didn't even turn into that, did it? That
No.
So we watched Lost Soul, which was very quickly about Richard Stanley, how he was meant to direct The Island of Dr. Moreau, and basically through like bad luck, terrible occurrences, and
Like acts of God.
yeah,
basically.
just like the most bizarre, bonkers stuff that could happen.
Some witchcraft.
Bit of witchcraft, bit of blood magic. He ended up losing the film and it being given to a stuffy old guy director, and
I feel like it was John Frankenheimer.
yes, it was. And I now, having not really ever heard of him, think that Richard Stanley might be my favourite person in the entire world.
He's your favourite director without ever having seen a film he's directed. You should get hold of Hardware though.
Yes, I think I'm absolutely, yeah.
It'd be right up your street.
Fuck yes.
So The Conjuring.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Tangents galore.
Yeah, you know what we're like. No, like James Wan's approach to horror is he's a lot more deliberate with it.
He's very consistent.
Yeah,
All of his films have a very consistent feel to them.
they're kind of like steeped in like the gothic, not in like traditional gothic, but like that whole like haunted house, kind
Yeah.
of fairly slow burn horrors,
I think traditional is a good word, actually.
which I
describe
love.
his
Like that's the sort of horror I live for. You
Yeah.
know, give me a good haunted house movie, and I'm in my element.
Spooky house.
I need to. Do you know what? I need to rewatch the first Conjuring. I think because I didn't care for the second one as much, I've maybe forgotten how much I
Yeah.
enjoyed the first one.
Well, like, just it's again that the power of a trailer. Like, there's the
Yeah.
whole like
yeah,
hide and
of
clap
course.
sequence.
Right, so
Of
that is The
course.
Conjuring rather than The Conjuring 2. Okay.
Yeah,
I was
Conjuring-
literally just about to say, I always get the two muddled
Conjuring
up.
2 was set in London. The Enfield
Is that the
Haunting.
Enfield Haunting? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That definitely real thing that happened.
It wasn't just girls jumping off of beds.
And then everybody on the bus clapped.
But yeah, like there's so many good images from it. Obviously, we've had the
Yeah.
whole like Annabelle franchise come from that. The twisted tree, that's so cool.
I mean,
So many good,
There's
like
a
some
hot-
really good jump scares in it.
I think I forget how big the franchise has gotten.
Yeah,
Oh god, it's enormous.
Yeah. And actually, briefly mentioning it, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but the Curse of La Llorona
yeah.
is tied in
Links,
because
yeah, of course.
I can't remember the actor's name. The guy who plays the priest is the same priest in both films.
Oh, yeah.
I
haven't actually seen that one yet, so...
no, it's not great, but
I've heard.
Again, it's part of it. It's Conjuring, it's Annabelle. There's... And Annabelle's, 4 movies now?
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4?
Creation,
Annabelle...
Home, is it?
No, that would be
Annabelle...
Creation.
comes home.
Creation, Origins, Annabelle the Beginning.
Let's see what we
Annabelle
can milk
Far
this
From
for.
Home.
Annabelle Endgame.
Annabelle comes
A New Hope.
home. Annabelle Creation. Lots.
Annabelle Return of the Jedi. You were saying?
There are lots of films in that whole franchise, and it was all launched by the success of that one.
Do you know
film.
what? When we ran through our list before we started recording, as soon as you said that, I was a cynic. But you've made me want to rewatch it. I've only seen it once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple of times.
And it's been a couple of years now, so...
Yeah.
Actually, that'd be a really fun one to watch over Christmas. It's on my list.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But yeah, that was The Conjuring.
Yeah.
So that was mine.
Good
Odd
choice.
concept of fun to watch over Christmas. What about Scrooged? Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the fucking way.
Oh my god, shut up. That is an amazing film. Schwarzenegger, come on. What?
I don't know if I've ever seen
I mean,
it.
Do you not love Jingle All the Way?
I've seen it.
I don't think I've seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No,
It's not on my
I've been
go-to
too busy
list.
watching, like, Black Christmas.
For fuck's
Muppets
sake.
Christmas Carol, however.
No, I've seen that, but not since I was a kid.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. It sounds lame when you try and describe it.
So it's not on our list. I'm gonna.
All Christmas movies sound lame when you try and describe them. To be
All
fair.
movies can sound lame when you try and describe them.
Me.
I'm going to go to the next one. These are in no particular order, by the way. This isn't like a rundown to an ultimate number one.
No, absolutely.
So the next one that's on my list, and I believe it was an honourable mention on yours.
Years.
And I agonised over this, but It Follows.
Oh.
It's on my top 5.
So I guess this is my top 6.
Yeah.
Because it's an honourable mention. Actually, the earliest one that I had on my list as well, in 2014.
Oh, okay.
I feel like
second half of the
I feel
decade
like
as well,
second half of the
actually.
decade was super strong.
Either that or I've just forgotten everything that came
Yeah,
out in the first half.
potentially, definitely,
Actually, you know what?
potentially.
The list I had was about 16 strong, and a lot of the ones that I whittled off it were from the first half of the decade.
Okay.
So there was a lot that almost made it, but didn't quite. But It
Okay.
Follows. I agonised over this one, but I think it deserves a place.
No, I think you're right. I absolutely think you're right.
I can understand why it's a total Marmite film. I just think there's just this weird magic about it, this universe that David Cameron...
That doesn't quite
David Cameron
exist,
Mitchell?
but...
David, or just wait. He's got
David
a treble-barreled name.
Cameron.
Yeah. It's
It's not
either...
a treble-barreled name, did you say?
Double-barreled name?
Oh, I thought you said treble. I was like...
No. Like a
3?
name
That's
and then...
excessive.
David Robert Mitchell.
David Robert Mitchell. Is David Cameron Mitchell the guy that did Hedwig?
David Cameron is...
I
The
know
old
David
Prime
Cameron.
Minister of the United Kingdom.
Well, I don't know David Cameron. I know of David Cameron.
If you knew David Cameron, you would have punched him.
100%.
John Cameron Mitchell.
So there's a lot of like Mitchells out there, and I'm confusing all of them apparently.
Quite a lot of Davids.
I'm sure there are many Davids in the world. But is that the most insight you have to offer this episode?
I know
There are many Davids.
I know at least one.
I know 2.
Shit. Well, you're beating
Shit,
me. Shit.
So It Follows is on my list for the reasons of unique premise. Really, really bare bones, really simple, but kind of unique premise, and one I was surprised hadn't really been explored before.
Right? The kind of idea where you're like, why?
Well, considering... Sorry to interject. Considering how, like, sex is bad and sex will get you kills has been a trope in horror for decades.
Forever, yeah.
You know? Just
Like,
take
why
that
not in a
literally
more
and then you've
literal
got...
sense?
Yeah.
Exactly, it's crazy. Soundtrack.
Yes,
Soundtrack
absolutely
was
incredible
outstanding.
soundtrack.
Micah Monroe.
Yes.
The fact that he just created this like timeless universe, and
We say it every time, but like the anachronistic like objects.
And the fact that he utilised his hometown of Detroit, and the fact that a lot of it is really run down and kind of lends it this really eerie feel without having to create sets.
It feels
it's all
very.
there.
It feels weirdly very barren.
Oh, a lot of it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a lot of it's like a dead city, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
But I just think it's really cool. You could tell it was a place that he was really familiar with, and he utilised it really, really well. And that's how you do low budget filmmaking. The sets were there; he just used them.
Yeah,
and I think it stands up to repeated viewings. It's genuinely terrifying. I watched a midnight showing, and I walked home in the dark, and everybody that was behind me, I like just scared the shit out of me.
Like seriously, what is
the notion
genuinely
that could be anyone
scarier than like Revenant, than something just endlessly following you?
Yeah,
it is always
Leonardo
following you.
DiCaprio in The Revenant, always.
But more
That was a bear.
But more so than that, somebody that could look like someone you love and trust.
Yeah.
But
which is what we touched on
no one.
in last minisode, actually. On Us. We did a minisode on doppelgangers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which links in...
Well, we mentioned It Follows in the minisode.
Yeah.
Crossover!
No, I was just about to say Phil mentioning Us is a direct segue
into
my next choice.
Cool.
Which might surprise people to hear is Us. Like,
we are
full on.
Rosie's favourite horror movie.
Yes, you guys are my top pick of the decade.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Oh, you sound really sarcastic about that. Oh, gee.
Oh, an avocado.
Thanks. Yeah, we got a vine in. It was in my top 5.
Was
for
that
a
an
myriad
easy
of
pick?
reasons. That was a really easy pick,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's because it is way more of a recent watch, or because I just genuinely thought it was an outstanding film, which are both true.
Yeah.
It obviously we've covered this in like a very recent show. We've brushed upon it again in the minisode, but to sum it up, it is a film that is expertly written, has a lot to say, manages to say it in a very truncated and efficient way.
Yep. Also, Lupita Nyong'o
Fuck, yeah.
should be in everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any films with Lupita Nyong'o and Tilda Swinton? Are there?
Not to my knowledge.
Why aren't there?
I
Marvel.
don't know.
Endgame.
Oh, yeah!
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah! Good thinking.
She's the
of course.
the chosen one, whatever
Yeah.
they call her.
Of course.
She's in Black Panther.
Well, no, because have you seen
Well,
Doctor
no,
Strange?
but I haven't seen Tilda Swinton in Black Panther.
Have you seen Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Then you know that Tilda Swinton is in the Marvel Universe.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not a spoiler.
The ancient one. Whatever she's called.
And Lupita Nyong'o is in Black Panther.
Yes.
And everyone is in it.
It's like a big old party. Yeah. Us is incredibly relevant.
Yeah, this is why I love Jordan Peele, though. He's got a lot to say in terms of like socio-political commentary, and I think a lot of people are too scared to do that, especially in horror.
Yeah. I think he
interesting.
comes from a very unique place on it, which I really appreciate.
I think horror's the perfect vehicle for that kind of statement, to be honest, and I kind of hope more people utilise it as such.
I also love the kind of wholesome, but still quite dark comedy behind a lot of it as well.
Oh yeah.
His obviously because he's a comedian and he writes as a comedian, and so his writing has this flair to it that has like a really easygoing comedy and a really accessible comedy, but he's still saying some really like hard important things.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that he manages to give it brevity without sort of like detracting from the gravitas of the whole film.
That's the best kind of writing, is when you can sort of you can weave comedy into your horror without puncturing
Yeah, for sure.
the horror. That's hard to do.
I was going to touch on it last when we actually did the episode properly, but I think horror and comedy are probably two of the most aligned genres out there, because they have the same. They use the ebb and flow of tension in the same way. It's just you build up to a punchline and you build up to a jump scare, for example. Like I could totally see that a skilled comedian would actually understand that rise and fall. Sorry,
Rise and flow.
whatever the phrase is.
The ebb
and be able
shine.
to shut up and be able to actually do a good horror. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. I also think horror and comedy are two of the more universal genres. Especially visual comedy. Regardless of language, you can be scared and amused by the same things.
Yeah.
They're both very visual mediums, or can be. That's interesting.
That is.
Us was on my, I was about to say short list, long list, but it didn't quite make the cut.
So a bit of an honourable mention for you then, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love everything on your list, if I'm honest, but
It's a great list.
yeah, it is.
I wanna do a little
Well
like.
done.
I think I want to do a little movie marathon.
Ooh, that would be a fun day. No, that
I
would
think
not be
it.
a fun day.
No, I
Fun is
think
the wrong
it
word.
might feel a little bit like being beaten up, but I still want to do it.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. Phil, what you got for us?
Nice little segue.
Segue.
Horror comedy.
No,
Seg you too.
Say you also.
I have last minute switched out,
Oh, okay.
so I apologise for
Sneaky.
staring.
Oh,
But
Do we have a joint one?
no.
Oh, right, okay.
Honourable mention to What We Do in the Shadows. Because
That was on-
fantastic,
yeah.
love it,
So
great,
It was on
good.
my
so
long
good.
list.
But when I switched out for
Okay.
we're werewolves, not swearwolves.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil,
Amazing.
Okay.
2010.
I think so. It was.
Ooh,
It's
So
in the decade.
right at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Partly because I'm actually more familiar with it. I think I've watched it more frequently than
Okay.
What We Do in the Shadows.
It's
But
not like a weekly watch for you. Tucker Dale versus Evil.
well, it is good.
It is. Is it Steve Tudyk?
Alan.
Alan Tudyk.
And
Why?
Tyler.
Oh,
Labine.
why did I
Yeah.
think he was called Steve? There is a reason for that.
Oh, because Steve the Pirate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, yep. There you go.
Wash from Firefly. King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph.
Steve the Pirate in Dodgeball.
Whatever
Alan
the
Tudyk is like a really...
Prolific.
Yeah.
whatever the droid is in the new Star Wars.
He's like... Stephen Root is another one that just like fucking crops up in everything,
Yeah.
but looks different enough that you're like, oh, it's him.
Yeah, you
Do
kind
you
of
know what I
go,
mean?
oh, I know that
Yeah.
guy.
Didn't he cameo in something as well recently?
Oh, probably.
Wait,
Guess
which
about-
one? Who?
Alan Tudyk. I thought he was playing like a which was the one that had like a hillbilly cameo? Two actors.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
No, that sounds familiar. Carry
was
on talking
that?
about Tucker and Dale. Look
So
it up.
I haven't seen T&D versus E because I can't be
It's
bothered
unknown.
to say the full thing.
That was basically as many syllables.
It was really quick though. It was really fun to say. Try and say it. T&D versus E.
No, I believe you.
I haven't seen that since like the early 20 teens.
20 teens.
Is that what they're called?
Sure.
What are they called?
It's not the noughties.
No, not anymore.
Just the 2010s, I think.
Deadpool 2!
See, I was gonna say, was it him in it?
Yeah. Redneck number 1.
And the other one was like
How
someone
mighty
mind
have
blown,
fallen.
wasn't it? It was like Ben Affleck or something, isn't it? Or is it Matt Damon?
The two are interchangeable
Yeah.
at this point. Keep
I'll leave you
talking.
to talk about that, to look that up.
Anyway, why is this on your top 5? Why is it?
I just loved how it used tropes, the horror movie tropes, and played with them. Some suspicious buzzing going on at the moment. Yeah,
Matt
like
Damon.
it's such a wholesome movie as well. Like it's fun to watch. It's not scary, but it's just the kind of the way the events unfold and the way the characters react to them. You just love every single kind of protagonist in that because they're just so likable.
I love anything. I'm a sucker for anything that's a bit meta.
Yeah.
Knows exactly what it is,
Yeah.
what it's trying to be, subverts your expectations, and the sort of thing where you're just like giving knowing kind of glances to your friends going, oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever rooted for two people more than Tucker and Dale.
Yeah.
Like,
They're a very likeable duo.
and they're so sort of mindlessly wholesome as well.
Tyler Labine
Naive.
kind of has started cropping up again.
Oh, has he?
He was in Escape Room that we saw at the start of the year.
Oh god, yeah, of course.
Running the year off well.
But he's just like middle-aged dude now.
Oh, really?
It's crazy. Like, I forget how old I am, and I'm like, oh, he's so old, and then I'm like, oh no, I'm so old.
Sarah,
weird
we're
feeling.
all so old.
I know. Oh, the march of time. So
Yeah, no, it was just...
what made you think of it at the last minute?
Oh, because I was going through a list of best films. It was. I know it's a really cheap way of doing it, but yeah, I'm just more familiar with it. I think it had... it was funny, but it also had a lot more to say about the genre as well. And that doesn't necessarily make it better than What We Do in the Shadows, because both are just fantastic. And
I would
obviously-
still pick What We Do in the Shadows over Tucker and Dale,
Yeah.
but I appreciate them both a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, realistically, they are, like, as far as I'm concerned, pretty interchangeable.
Two of the best horror comedies of the decade.
I think What We Do in the Shadows taps in a lot more to my personal sense of humour.
Same. But I get it, that's just personal preference. It's not an indicator of, like, objective quality.
No, absolutely not. I think like Tucker and Dale is more like universally humorous and
Yeah,
acceptable, whereas
yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows is maybe like it's funny, but if you get the nuances, then it's really funny.
Yeah.
I think realistically,
think
had I watched What We Do in the Shadows more recently,
Yeah.
I probably might, that could have stayed on the list, but
still
I
need
just
to
saw
watch the
Tucker and Dale and I
TV
was like,
show.
there it is, I need to talk about that. Yeah, and it's got the TV show as well, What We Do in the Shadows.
Which I haven't caught up with.
I haven't seen any of it yet.
No.
I hear good things though.
I mean, it's Matt Berry and
Yeah,
Kevin
it does.
Novak.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So yeah,
So,
that's my next one. What about you, Sarah?
my third pick is... It might be a controversial one.
Ooh.
And it's one I ummed and ahed about all of them. Who am I kidding? I may come to regret this.
Right.
It's It Chapter 1.
Ooh.
For a number of reasons, which I will now tell you.
You're not just filling time
I'm
while you
just
try and
stalling,
think of them, are you?
Allow myself to introduce myself.
I am a huge fan of the story. Always have been.
Yeah.
Was never a massive fan of the original miniseries, although I do have a lot of love for it via nostalgia. It's not good, but I'm very nostalgic about it because I saw it as a kid, and Tim Curry is fucking excellent as Pennywise. But It Chapter 1, I just think it encompasses everything that I love about a movie. It had a really iconic villain that was played brilliantly by Bill Skarsgård. It was really fucking snappy, well-paced, perfectly paced.
How long was it?
It was just shy of 2 hours, I believe.
Okay.
About the 2 hour mark. But
the
it
longer
felt
side.
like quick, and it was the sort of film, like if it had been 4 hours, I wish it had been 4 hours. I wanted more. I wanted more of the camaraderie and the I just wanted to hang out with these kids more.
Yeah.
The like Spielberginess of it.
It brought me great joy, and like the humour that was interspersed, the grossness, like it all had a place. None of it felt off kilter. It all fit really nicely, and it's weird to kind of be able to meld all that as well as they did.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah,
kids
there's
were
a lot going
phenomenal
on, isn't
actors.
there?
Oh, the kids are incredible.
I think it's just one of my favourite Stephen King adaptations to date.
Did you, when you say like I might live to regret this, is that because you are maybe looking at it as a whole with it chapter 2 that
No.
maybe you didn't enjoy as much? Like that it chapter 2 is maybe like...
No, when I say I feel like I might come to regret this, I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with me having this on my top 5 of the decade.
well,
I mean, they could, fuck them, it's
fuck
my
'em.
That's what I
opinion.
think they're all about.
But I feel like it may be an unpopular one just because a lot of people don't feel as strongly about it. But to me, it's the perfect movie. It's sentimental, touching, it's scary in places, it's fun, it's funny, it's really well paced, it's really well cast, it's really well acted. I just enjoy the shit out of it.
And it's really rare that you find a modern film that creates a nostalgia value.
Yeah.
Like, so rare for that to happen.
As well as that.
And it's
like,
really special when you find it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I absolutely get it. Totally do. My next pick... I'm just going to, like, make things a little bit more serious.
That's all right.
My next pick is Get Out. I'm going to go with Get Out,
Ooh,
2017.
Okay. Peel again.
Peel again.
The peeling.
Peel to Electric Boogaloo. I again, like, he just has so much to say and does it in such a smart and well thought through way. Like, nothing is so on the nose that it's overtly obvious and like patronizing or condescending in any way. His commentary about racial injustice and class divide as well throughout that entire
Did
film.
we talk about this when it was released? And the sheer number of fucking idiots in the horror community that were like, he's racist against white people.
Oh my god, that's not a thing. You
Yeah.
literally can't do that.
A, doesn't exist. That's not what racism means. You're not a put upon minority. Fuck off.
God.
You own half the world. Go away. Just people who either refuse point blank or are too stupid to recognise their own privilege. It's like, yo, what this is about?
Yeah, oh no, it's definitely about you, mate.
And if you're offended, if you feel like somebody is pointing out your own racism and you're offended by that, that means you're extra racist, probably.
Yeah, that's probably why you feel uncomfortable with it. Yeah.
Most of us can go, yeah, we benefit from a racist system. That sucks.
I am all about watching films that make me question, not my beliefs, but make me question
The status quo?
the status quo and like widely
The status quo, not status quo.
The band.
Not the dad
status
rock
quo.
band.
I mean,
Whatever you want.
Jordan Peele does make me question dad rock.
We're going to have some harsh words about Dire Straits.
Fuck off, I love Dire Straits. I'm not even lying. Sultans of Swing is genius.
Romeo and Juliet can fuck off, though.
Walk of life.
One of the things that I love about Get Out, and I'm saying this because it almost made my list.
Yeah.
I think Get Out is just a whisker above us in terms of quality.
Really? Okay.
They're very nearly on a par,
Yeah.
but I prefer Get Out. I think it's the slightly better film. In terms of socio-political commentary and race relations, it's the sort of film that sort of made me a bit uncomfortable, but in a really good way.
This is what I'm saying. This is exactly what I was getting to. Like, I really enjoy things that make me check my privilege and check not my beliefs, but like...
But not in an antagonistic way.
No, it kind of goes... It presents you with all the information and goes, this is how it is.
It's holding up a mirror, basically, and you
yeah.
can either acknowledge it, or you can either be one of the dickheads that's going, racist!
Well, exactly. Like, it's so important to be aware of how privileged you are in any sort of place that you're in.
And obviously it's a massively heightened reality. It's a horror comedy.
Yeah.
But I loved the moments where I was checking myself, going... like laughing instinctively and then being like, oh, is it okay to laugh at this?
Should I laugh at that? Is that?
And that's
am
what I
allowed
mean
to?
by making me feel uncomfortable. But
And I
love
think
movies
that was
make
a really
you ask those questions.
I think that was a really intentional thing. I think it was
same.
very like almost to the point of like you've persecuted people for so long. You've made people feel uncomfortable for so long. Like, how does that feel? And I think that was a really intentional thing.
We retroactively made Jesus white.
Yeah,
that's how bad.
Wow, you guys.
It's very true.
But like, yeah, I really hope he sticks with that. This is why I'm so excited about Candyman, because like one of the things I love about Candyman so much is the antagonist is so sympathetic. He was like a slave that was murdered, and he's quite rightfully quite pissed off and vengeful. I'm so interested to see what the fuck Jordan Peele does with that story, because I don't think the race angle was explored enough.
I think he's in a unique position where he can actually really dig into that.
Yeah, I'm so
because
excited.
because he's kind of got not like free reign, but like given the success of Get Out,
he's gonna have a lot more freedom.
He's got clout.
Yeah,
he has a big platform.
Yeah,
and I think he'll make use of it. Definitely.
I am excited. What's your next pick, Phil?
Nice segue again from Rosie, thank you. Speaking of films with Bradley Whitford in,
Here we go.
Cabin in the Woods had to be mentioned. Love it.
I mean, all of these films are great, but they're no Cabin in the Woods.
I mean, do you know what? I don't think there are any glaring additions to any of our top fives that any of us would go, oh no, and like massively disagree with.
No.
I love Cabin in the Woods. Wouldn't make my top 5. I don't rate it that highly, but fucking hell, great film.
Really solid
It
film.
was the reason, because I watched it in the cinema, and the reason it always appears so high up on my list is just how much it affected me.
We saw it together.
Yeah. I was in the cinema, and when the kind of pivotal scene happened, when they were all downstairs in the basement, I could just feel everything clicking into place in my brain, and I suddenly realised the whole, like, so many directions that movie could go in. There were like 6 directions it could have gone in.
Yeah.
And I was just suddenly waiting there to see what would happen, because they were clear, like, it's picking up the music box. It's like, oh, that's clearly that from whatever film. There were clearly nods, and that would dictate how the film progressed. Not having seen it before, I was just suddenly super excited to see, there's a puzzle box that was like clearly Hellraiser and all sorts, and I was just so excited for it. I was so excited, and I was just, yeah.
I think that is my one issue with Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Oh, what's that?
Conversely, not that everything clicks into place and like there are loads of different avenues for it to go down, but once you've seen it,
oh yeah,
like that
it's funny actually.
Wonder and expectation is kind of dead in the water.
Yeah.
Like you know where it's going, you know what the big twist that ties it all together is. Like,
do you know what it would make a top 5 of for me? Films I could Men in Black and then watch again.
Yeah,
for the
for
first
sure.
time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that you did the little clicky pen thing in
that
front
no
of your
one
eyes.
else can see, because this is not a visual medium. When will I learn it?
But yeah, if I could watch it for the first time every time, like, would watch it all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it does stand up to rewatches really
Yeah.
well, though.
I think it's still enjoyable. I think
think
it's still really solid. It just,
Yeah.
it's,
I know what you mean when
it
you say the
lacks
wonder.
that. Yeah,
And
That's a big
realistically,
word.
it's not perfect as a
Yeah.
movie. Like,
Well, it
I
doesn't have
understand
to
it.
be.
I
You
understand
don't
it
have
has
to
flaws,
justify
but
it.
just how the excitement and the joy I had with watching it, and picking up on all the kind of nods, the big kind of melee at the end, and seeing all these, like, blink and you miss it kind of scenes. You suddenly see, like, oh, that's that's a nod to Pennywise, for example, or
Yeah.
like,
do you think that you're still finding new things every time you watch it?
it's been a while since I've watched it, but yes, like, I've gone in and not gone in, but like every so often I'll see a post on Twitter or Facebook or Reddit or whatever that like goes in, it breaks down the kind of, like, there's references to Left 4 Dead in that.
I was just about to say,
and it's like,
is it the boomer? Or
there's
something?
like 2 or
I
3.
think so.
Really?
I think there is a
That's
boomer, but
crazy.
there's a witch in the big cube
That's amazing.
Matrix.
Is there
Not a reference to the Matrix.
Is there like a hunter? Am I? imagining that?
I can't remember.
But yes,
Sorry.
there are so many.
Yeah.
Like
And just the love and care that went into it. Like, you go and look at all the kind of like behind the scenes footage, all the stuff they shot that just you don't notice. You wouldn't notice unless you were specifically looking out for it.
It blows my mind that it was shelved for a couple of years before they even fucking
really.
released it. Do you know, it was, I think it was the same year that Cabin in the Woods and You're Next were actually released, and they'd both been sitting on shelves because nobody had wanted to release them. Can you imagine?
That is insane.
Imagine being that fucking network exec, or like just being like, fucking idiot.
I mean, what can you remember around what year Cabin in the Woods was?
I think it was 2010.
So
No, it
No.
was after that.
No?
Like
I want to say 2012.
Maybe, yeah. That sounds
I
right.
want to say 2012 because I saw
Yeah,
Your
okay.
Next at Fright Fest and I haven't been for like 6
2011.
years.
Split the difference.
Okay.
According to Google, anyway.
I feel like mainstream horror has massively progressed in the past even 10 years.
Oh yeah, hugely.
So the idea that those films were shelved up until like the beginning of 2011 and then suddenly all came out
I
doesn't.
feel like it may have been released in like 2013. I think it may have been made in 2011.
Yeah,
Maybe,
And
yeah.
it probably didn't see cinemas until 2013.
that would make sense.
I think. And I think the same of Your Next.
Okay.
Boggles my mind. Who's making these decisions? But yeah, you may be quite right.
Back to you, Sarah.
My next pick, I am up to number 4 already.
I know,
Number
it's
5.
fair enough.
In a move that will surprise absolutely nobody, The Witch has made.
Vitch.
Would you like to live yummily?
Yes.
That's what the cow says.
Yeah. Have you seen this film?
I'm aware of it.
Um,
Yes, I have seen it. I saw it with you.
yeah.
I loved it too.
Again, like many of the films on my list, I can imagine it dividing audiences massively. This is a film that is not for everyone. I would say this arguably fits elevated horror, actually.
In a very kind of New England gothy kind of way.
I was lucky enough to go to a press screening for this. The free booze may have influenced my opinion the first time around. I don't know I can't put my finger on what it is I love about it. The control that Robert Eggers has of the atmosphere and the actors, and he had you can just tell he had such a specific vision. And was this, I feel like this was his first feature length, which is crazy. I love the commitment to the dialogue.
Yeah.
I love the acting. Everybody in this film was outstanding, even down to the kids.
Yeah. Because their MO was to just be as annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
And they really nailed it.
Oh yeah. But I don't know what it is. Something about this film just absolutely mesmerised me. I love anything to do with specifically female roles in horror, and this is a very specifically female-driven horror movie.
Yeah. It plays on a lot of female tropes.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times at this point. I enjoy it equally every time. It's one I'm sort of, dare I say it, at the risk of sounding a bit pretentious, it's one I kind of use as a barometer with people. Like, if they like this film, I'm like, yeah, we're going to get on.
I think that if I had to choose a film for you to be in your top 5,
This would be it.
that would be it.
Yeah.
It is a quintessentially Sarah film to me.
Yeah.
So I can totally see why you love it.
The atmosphere, you could slice it with a knife. It's just pitch fucking perfect from start to end. It's so consistent. It's so well made. And considering it's the sets are so
Sparse.
bare bones.
So sparse, yeah.
It's actually weirdly cinematic. And I love the ending. I get a real kick out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, big fan. Yeah. I can't believe I didn't even I didn't even think about it. Yeah, I love
I
that.
want to see Lighthouse.
Yes.
Another Robert Eggers movie.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's literally just Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson losing their shit in a lighthouse.
That sounds fucking great.
Right?
Mhm.
And it's all in black and white. And
Why'd you spill your beans?
what do you call it when it's like
4 by
square?
3.
Yeah.
What do you call it when it's square? You call it square, so
4:3 ratio.
4:3.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on. My fourth choice is 2016, The Void.
Yeah, this was on my shortlist as well.
100%, absolutely, entirely, unequivocally up my alley.
Balls to the wall.
It is
gory
bonkers,
madness.
isn't it?
Didn't have a fucking clue where it was headed. I love films
No,
where I'm just like, I don't know. I cannot predict this.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
There was nothing formulaic about it. There was nothing on the nose or obvious about it. It was so steeped in this weird kind of like clandestine
I love stuff that's a bit
ritualism and like even it's weird because obviously the film's about that, but obviously even like the storyline and how the plot progressed and stuff was all weirdly sort of culty and ritualistic, and I love that. Like I was all about that. I fully enjoyed it. Visually, like that whole stylistic, almost 80s vibe. Fucking love it.
So much about the visuals you can talk about though. So many specific sort of what I would call iconic moments, like all the mysterious figures in the hoods
with the
triangles
triangle.
on, and, before you even get to the kind of like past the halfway mark where it really ramps up the
fucking craziness. Where it goes actually fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I watched it with like my eyes wide and inhaled it all in. I fucking loved it. I absolutely adored it.
Shout out to the phenomenal gore effects as well. Yeah. Really gnarly.
Like
really
I
fun.
just it this is gonna sound really weird. It compares to me like how much I enjoyed The Guest.
Yeah.
As to how much I enjoy The Void as well. Like it has a similar level for very different reasons of like just enjoying it so much.
They're similarly kind of short and snappy and pacey.
Yeah, they have that
Very rewatchable.
They have that like aged feel to them as well, like that VHS feel to them.
Yeah. Throwbacky.
Yeah, and yeah, it
Which
was
is now a word.
throwbacky. Is yes, I agree. It was nuts. I loved it. That's all I've got to say on the matter. It is
Cool.
in my top 5.
Cool. So my fourth is not quite as well known as some of the ones we've spoken about, but again,
Is this another segue?
really affected me. Is it? I'm going
You
to
go
say.
first.
Well, I don't know. Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee.
Going from one film with Aaron Poulin to another film with
Forgotten
Aaron
about
Poulin.
that. See, if I'd have known that, because I was setting up another segue for my other one, but I decided against it.
You can't just make up segues. They have to be organic.
Well, we got one.
Yes, we did.
I fucking love that movie.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you chose that.
It's again, like I don't think it is quite as well known. Well, it isn't.
No.
It isn't as well known. Like I don't even think it's got a proper rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Like yeah, I was talking to my friend about it today, and we looked it up. Like that's how kind of under the radar it is.
What's the threshold?
Was that
then?
kind of like I'm gonna say straight to Netflix kind of thing, but
It was a straight to DVD one, yeah. It was directed by the guy who edited Rue Morgue at the time.
Rodrigo Godino.
okay.
That's the one.
Again, we looked it up.
He doesn't. He hasn't done anything for years, which is a crying shame.
He did a really good short film called The Facts in the Case of Mr. Hollow.
Oh,
So
we
based
did
around a
talk about
photo that you kind
Yeah.
of the camera dips in and out of and sees new details as the.
But that was like a while ago, wasn't it?
I mean, he is just a fan of long-winded titles.
But also, he seems like a really talented horror filmmaker. It's kind of heartbreaking that he's not doing anything now.
Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee. Critics' consensus. No consensus yet.
Oh, we have a consensus.
That makes me really
it's
sad.
Great.
Yeah.
We are critically acclaiming it. Genuinely freaked me out. Some bits of that film actually, like, made me very uncomfortable to be in a room in the dark.
Well, like, there's so many nods. Like, I mean, above all, the reason I chose it is I came away from that movie wanting to just hug every person I love, because I was heartbroken at the end of that. I was so, like, affected by it, and it's rare that a film does that.
What's her name?
Vanessa Redgrave.
Vanessa Redgrave's voice. Fuck
me.
Gore
sure.
punch.
So good. But not just that. As a horror movie, like, emotion aside, you take out. There's so many kind of moments that you can really sort of picture, like the kind of like a panther creature,
the Rakshasa,
the Rakshasa. The eyes staring out from underneath the table that you don't really pick up on until, like, second viewing. There's the angel statue as he's going down to flip the fuse that
it's just
appears and disappears between framing.
I think the thing I love most about it is that it is ambiguous. Whether or not that was the director's intention, I don't know, but it's a film you can either take literally or choose to see it as, like, an allegory. Did he go home? Was it all her wish fulfillment in her final moments?
Yeah. Oh, it's so sad.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I love that it makes you question things.
Yeah.
I think
And again, it's putting up a bit of a mirror as well. Like, the people that love you that you don't necessarily give the attention to that they deserve.
Yeah. Very sad.
And
it
just
is very
so
sad.
like deliberate as well. I think the pacing is pitch perfect. Like,
it could have been a play.
Again,
I love
again,
that about it.
it's just like speaking of atmosphere that you can cut with a knife. Like, everything about that house is spooky as fuck. Like, just the weird, sinister, like, occult kind of junk that she's accumulated.
That's how I want my house to look when I'm older.
It's just so good, so good. Yeah.
But then, like, the additional sort of heartbreaking moments when you realise her house was only full of that because her son was an antiques dealer and she'd been buying it all.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and
heartbreaking.
Special mention to Julian Richings.
Yeah.
Who he's, again, one of those actors that gets around a lot, and you just pick up on these things.
Yeah.
He was just really, really sinister. Really sinister.
For sure.
No, I need to watch that again.
Yeah, and
I would like to rewatch that.
Hour and 20 minutes as well, so it's really snappy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like a sort of short ghost story, I guess, in a weird way. No, thoroughly enjoyed that.
Another spooky house. Another spooky house horror movie from me.
So, Sarah, we are on to your last pick of the decade.
I mean, that makes it sound like this is number one, number wang, and it's not.
Number wang. Did you not say the best to last? Oh my god, how I
can't
believe you've done this.
It's been in no order because that was too difficult. Picking only 5 was already hard enough.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of an order, isn't it?
Again, it's one we've covered. I'm going to just choose to gloss over that completely. Again, this is one we've covered.
So your favourite film of the decade?
You absolute brat.
I am a brat.
My last choice is The Neon Demon.
Such a good choice.
A lot of people sort of question whether or not this is even horror.
I mean, it's horrific.
To me, it fits. It's a different kind of horror, but it's definitely horror. Not everything has to fit into a nice, neat little definition.
Yeah. And it certainly fits into the idea of, like, elevated horror that we were talking about earlier. Hugely.
I just think it is one of the most stunningly beautiful films of the decade.
So visually striking, yeah.
Again, kind of uniquely female in its storyline.
Yeah.
And yet written and directed by a man, which I find really interesting.
Who directed?
Nicholas Winding Refn.
That is an interesting name.
He did Drive and Only God Forgives.
Neither of which I've seen.
Oh, I thought you would have seen Drive.
I want to see Drive. That is Ryan Gosling, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the one where he's like, "What do you want?" And she's like, "I don't know." And he's like, "What do you want?"
Yeah. He's got a cool jacket and it's got a good soundtrack.
Oh.
I think his films tend to get dismissed because it seems like they're not saying very much. A lot of people criticise him for being very heavy on style over substance. I disagree in the case of the Neon Demon. I think there's a lot of
It's got
substance if you
both.
care to look.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interconnectedness, there's a lot of layered elements to it.
There's definitely a lot to interpret.
Yeah, massively. And I love films like that.
And I wonder if the rest of his films, obviously I haven't seen them, but I wonder if the rest of his films that people say are more style over substance are much the same. In that there's
Only
a lot
God Forgives is, I think.
there's a lot to like interpret within it.
Yeah.
But he's not giving you any necessary direction. So
Yeah,
if
maybe that's
you
why
are
people
just
don't like it.
if you're just sitting it and watching it and waiting for it to happen to you, it won't.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, again, it's one that I struggle to articulate exactly why I love it. I just think it's a fucking feast for the eyes. Again, amazing electronic soundtrack, which is sort of a running theme in the films that I talked about today.
It's got a really neat soundtrack, it does.
Yeah. And I think Elle Fanning is great. It goes in a direction I didn't expect. And it has some really fucking uncomfortable, gross moments.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Elle Fanning's a bit of a weird one because it's not necessarily the role that I would assume she'd be good in.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
I don't know if I think that she's like typecast as something else, but yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily matched the two up. But I'm really glad that they were.
And like strong supporting cast as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Actresses that crop up a lot at the moment. Jenna Malone has been working for decades. She's great. It was cool to see her in something completely different.
I would have been very surprised if it wasn't in your top 5, given that you have a Neon Demon tattoo.
I also have a witch tattoo.
You do, which is an awesome tattoo.
Yeah.
Black Philippe.
Yeah. And I also have an It Chapter 1 tattoo.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what are the other ones on your list?
Just Hereditary and... oh, God.
You're just going to get a head.
No. I could get the Shell e-reader from It Follows.
Oh, no, you're totally going to... Yeah, you totally should. Absolutely. Completely agree. Moving swiftly on while you plan your next tattoo.
What's your final choice?
My final choice is potentially very divisive. It is the remake of Suspiria.
I would have said potentially divisive had I not watched it at the weekend, posted about it on Instagram, and had a slew of people going, fucking loved it. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Reading that post was really kind of enlightening because I was under the impression that effectively if you were a die-hard fan of the kind of original Suspiria, and I know that you, for example, like love the original.
Oh, yes.
All about it. That you already watch a remake with a very critical eye.
I watch any film with a really critical eye.
But it's difficult to go in with a completely open mind when you already have a very set idea. Yeah, but when you already have a very set idea of how the film is.
I
think...
Just to give you my 2 cents very quickly, as I said on Instagram, it's my favourite kind of remake. I disagreed with the people on my post who kind of said, oh, it's barely even a remake, why call it Suspiria? Because the premise was the same and the lore was the same.
Yeah.
They built on Argento's vision. I don't understand, like, if all you want is a facsimile of the original film, go and watch Gus Van Sant's Psycho and have a way with it. Like,
I was thinking the same movie.
do you know what I mean? But what's the point?
Yeah.
The best kind of remake is one that goes its own way.
If you want to watch the same film, then
rewatch
the same film.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I guess...
There is a place for both versions of Suspiria in my life.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you. I would be tempted to... I know it's splitting hairs, but I would be tempted to say that the 2018 version of Suspiria is maybe more of a reimagining than like a remake. And I feel like people would be happier with that descriptor as close together as it is. Again, like visually incredible.
Do you know what I would like to see? I would like to see Luca Guadagnino
Yes.
do the rest of the trilogy. I want to see a remake of Inferno and a remake of Mother of Tears from him.
Do you think it'll happen?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't think the other two films were
I thought you were going to be like...
received enough.
I thought you were going to be like, because he's dead, Rose.
You're
You're an idiot.
Well, he did Call Me By Your Name as well, which I loved. I watched that a couple of years ago and adored that film as well.
Yeah. So can he, like, do no wrong in your eyes?
I've only seen 2 of his films, but having seen the remake of Suspiria, Inferno is alright. Mother of Tears is terrible.
Okay.
It was like sort of the tipping point when Argento had started to
okay. So you think that he could take on those films and like
I'd love
make
to see a
them really
continuation
good.
of the other 2 mothers. Like we saw Mother Suspiriorum.
Yes.
I want to see the other 2.
I'd be so
Right?
down for that.
I really want them to like he took that lore
Yeah.
and made it his own. I want to see that built on. I think that would be amazing.
One thing I really liked with the remake is the colour palette. Because the colour palette
opposite.
it's really like earthy and muted in parts, and like lots of nudes and browns and mosses and but then like whereas in the original, like, the blood is bright and really stark contrast, and that it was a deliberate thing,
it was
wasn't
a
it?
main kind of trope of giallo movies.
Yeah.
Was the bright, lurid red blood.
Yeah. The remake, like, the blood in it is so, like, earthy and dark and insidious, and like it gives kind of a whole new dimension, like having those muted.
Grimy.
Yeah. It is.
It makes me feel like itchy and gross.
Yeah, it makes your skin crawl, that kind of thing, which is that unsettling nature. Again, is something that I really like in films like that. I thoroughly enjoy being
anything that
like
can affect you physically, physiologically. Like it's
I see that as being the mark of like somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, basically.
And I would also like to say that I'd never rated Dakota Johnson as a very good actor until this. She was great.
No, I thought she was great.
Apparently she had to have therapy.
Oh God, really?
After the fact, yeah.
Shit.
And Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, oh my God. No.
Goes with
Tilda Swintons. 3 of them.
All of them.
Oh
my God. Like, bulbous, gross Tilda Swinton.
I'd just like to say I haven't seen
Like-
this movie yet. So.
Have you not?
No, so I started it. I haven't finished watching it yet. I want to.
Wait,
Sorry.
you started it and didn't
How
finish
did
it?
you not finish it?
I think it was too late. I was like, I'm sleepy, I need to bed.
Oh, it's like Blade Runner all over again.
This is the life of a parent, maybe.
He didn't have a kid when he watched Blade Runner, just saying that. Phil.
It's worth finishing.
Okay, no, I fully intend to. I want to. Really want to. My last pick of the top film of the decade isn't a film at all. I've thrown a curveball.
Sneaky.
Wait a
Thrown
minute.
curveball here.
You sneaky snake.
My last mention is the game Bloodborne.
We didn't allow this. He just
I
did it.
Yeah.
My rules. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
In fact, I think I remember saying about an hour and a half ago, fuck off, Phil.
You did not say that. Yeah, and it's a horror game, obviously made by FromSoft, who do Dark Souls, the Dark Souls series.
Those ones where you go and stab people with swords and then they touch you and it says, you died.
Yeah, I mean,
Aren't they like notoriously insanely difficult?
and this is
Yeah,
why it's
yeah,
always a
super
really
difficult.
tricky one, because I am dying to for you guys to play it, but it's
I die
there's such a
immediately.
exactly there's
There-
you need a certain bloody mindedness to actually carry on and
Oh no, I give
continue because it is difficult.
It's really, really difficult until you get it, and then it's easy.
Yeah.
up. The
But
same with Overwatch. I don't have patience. I didn't stick with Overwatch long enough to get good at it.
But
And
it's
it's just like,
no,
done.
it's not like... When I say that, I don't mean like you suddenly get good at the game. I mean like you have a specific boss who's really, really difficult
Yeah.
until you clicks, and then it's really easy. and then you go on to the next part of the game that's really difficult, and you die and you die and you die
That doesn't sound
until
like this for me.
it suddenly gets really easy, and it's like that constant slog going through it. And I watched you play basically the entire thing, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a long game?
It was when I played
It can be.
But like
You can speedrun it pretty quickly. Like,
Yeah.
people have speed sort of done it in one session.
okay.
But again, like what I was kind of saying is that, like, it's such a good story, and it's a story you guys would love. I mean, Rosie, you've seen it obviously, but because it's locked behind that difficulty barrier, it's really difficult to go up to someone and say, you should play Bloodborne, because they'll play it, they'll get up to like the first mob of enemies and go, I can't do this. Because I did that. I played it through, couldn't get past this like mob of townspeople that were all like killing me,
All right then.
and I gave up and had to try again later.
So what is it about the game that makes it worth persevering past that then?
Well, so well, it's kind of this. It's very misleading, I think.
Okay.
There is a mid-game change up that is hinted at previously and totally makes sense within the context of the game.
Okay.
But you don't necessarily see coming. Certainly, if you haven't been paying attention to it, which is interesting. I know.
Okay. Very
This is
mysterious.
vague.
Yeah, it has to be.
But it's one of those
Yeah,
things
yeah.
where I'm like, I mean, I could tell you
Yeah,
because
but it would
you're not
spoil
likely
it.
but you're not likely to play it. So it's like, it's really, really tough.
I will tell you right at the beginning of the game, you get up off effectively a slab, like you're in a gurney.
It's
or
a
whatever.
gurney. It's all like
Am
super
I a
gothic,
reanimated corpse?
It's
gothic
like-
Victoriana.
Kinda.
Is it medieval?
The actual it's Victorian, so
It's all very like gothic.
yeah, it's all like werewolves and vampires and like proper
But
like gothic horror.
right at the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
you get up off a gurney, you go out of a room into another room,
Yeah.
and you get killed.
Oh.
Like you have to fight the thing, but it kills you.
Every time? Is
Yeah.
that
No, you don't
inevitable?
have. No, you can't. You don't have to.
You
but,
can
But in
circumvent
order
it,
to
can't you?
progress through the game, you need to die.
Circumvent, I believe.
So, in order to
fuck's
progress
sake.
through it, you need to die because
Oh.
that takes you to a central hub where you then reawaken.
Oh,
Like, it's
this
bonkers.
is a head fog.
But literally, you start playing this game not knowing anything about it. You go into the
And you've got
first
to figure
room,
that out
and you have to
yourself.
fight this thing, which is incredibly fucking difficult.
Unarmed. But at this point, you don't have weapons.
No
You just
weapons,
headbutt it?
no
You just
health.
punch them.
You're punching a werewolf effectively, and then this
That
werewolf's
sounds-
like, "Swipe, you're dead."
That sounds gnarly.
And then what happens when you go into this central hub? That's when you choose your weapons, and all of a sudden you wake up and you have your whatever weapons you picked.
But it just seems so unfair. You start the game and then you die.
But it sets up the tone of it
Sounds
pretty
like
well.
most games I play.
But then literally the rest of the game is, oh, new bit, oh, I'm dead. Oh.
Wait, so why is this on your top five? That didn't sell it to me
Because
at all.
the actual
what she
story
said.
is really good. Like, once you get past it, once you kind of get into the mindset of like, you need to play and learn and improve and get good, which I know is the horrendous way that people put it. But once you've reached that stage, you start seeing the story, and the story itself is there's so much lore there that is only really there if you look for it.
Okay.
Because there's no like, this happens and this happens. There's no real exposition to the story.
You can like play it as a run and gun, or you can play it as
Right.
like
But
a
then-
thing steeped
Because
in
all
Right.
the items you pick up have like descriptions that then explain what it's all about.
Yeah.
Then there's no real consensus over the actual storyline yet. People have
Okay.
theorized and like put together what they know from the game. Because it also suffers from like not translation errors, but because it was a Japanese game, it's kind of written in one way, and then it was translated into English. And whilst it retains the tone really well, there's sort of minute details in, for example, like for example, Japanese homonyms or like words that
Yeah, they just
have two meanings
yeah,
that aren't really
okay.
carried over in the. So there's a few sort of ambiguities there.
How's the replayability then? Is it something you're likely to return to quite a lot?
Oh,
Played
you've
it
played it
pretty-
so many
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
yeah.
What, like
Well,
different
different
characters.
from start to end?
3 separate endings.
Oh right.
And
Depending
Oh,
on
that's
how well
good
you
then.
achieve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but just the like first time playing it through, and then the switch up just blew me away. Just it's so good, so good. And if you're a gamer and can happily struggle your way through things, I recommend it.
Interesting.
Awesome. Well, that is our top 5 each films/games. You sneaky snake for the decade. This is our last show of 2019, so we are going to go and start our festive celebrations.
Yep.
Have a good one. Thanks as ever for supporting us and for listening to us. We love you guys, and we hope to see you next year.
Stay spooky.
See ya.